Hello, everybody. Please try to take a seat. We'll get started in about a minute and a half. Thank you. I hope you're having good conversations with the... You can't hear anything. How about this? Better? Not even now? We are about to begin. Please find a seat. We're trying to get as many here as we can. Thank you for coming. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. The beautiful Northwest Skyway West Hills Act night. My name is Alan Painter. I'm manager of King County's Community Service Area Program, which is responsible for outreach and engagement to unincorporated King County residents. This is the last of a series of community meetings we've been holding across unincorporated King County. So it's great to see so many faces here today. Just a quick poll. How many are interested in the issue of coffee tonight? All right. What we have...
There's other issues too.
What we've done is those of you who have signed up, what we've asked is that those of you who wish to speak to that issue, sign up over at the front with Marissa. What we hope to do tonight, if it's all right with you, is have the first part of the meeting will be a series of very short descriptions of what different initiatives King County has undertaken, and then we'll have questions on issues other than coffee for a few minutes, and then we'll, because we want to make sure everyone has a chance to have their issues raised, and then we'll go off the sign-in sheet for comments regarding the coffee issue. Is that okay with everybody? Great. Okay. The Community Service Area Program, besides hosting meetings like this, has a small grant program that we have each fall. We have $90,000 that we provide to community organizations across unincorporated King County. And this, most recently, we've been able to fund the Elijah Brown Foundation for a backpack giveaway that they'll have later this summer. Skyway Solutions for a parade that they're coming up. Is there a date for that parade? Where's Brian? August 19th, there's a planned parade in beautiful Skyway. We've supported the Tool Library as well as the outdoor cinemas. That'll be 4 Friday nights in August. Where's that? The 7-Eleven. All right. And then also the West Hill Action Mob, the cleanup. So we do that as well as these meetings. Lon San Domingo will be taking notes tonight. He's been our liaison for this committee for quite some number of years. goal of the meeting is first for you to hear some of the initiatives that are occurring here in the community, but then most of the meeting will be to listen to you, to hear your comments, questions. We have a wide range of staff. Hopefully you've had a chance to see some of those in the back who are knowledgeable in different areas. So our goal is hopefully to be able to answer your questions tonight. There may be things that we have to follow up on. In that case, that's why we've asked you to sign in as you come in so we can follow up in emails if necessary. And also probably to give you updates as events develop on a couple of the issues. So our first speaker after myself tonight is your council member Larry Gossett.
Good evening. I'm very happy to be out here. We have brochures of the King County Council being passed out to each of you right now. And it generally speaks to the services that King County government provides to you. And any questions related to what you read in the brochure, we'll try to find some time tonight to deal with those. But there was about 4 or 5 issues that I wanted to have the opportunity to mention to you to stimulate questions, comments, requests, etc. to you. And of course, if I don't mention an issue that is important to you and you think King County government has some responsibility for it, please let me know. When you get the brochure, one of the most surprising things about King County is that very few people who reside here, and there are 2 million, nearly 200,000 folks who live in our county, very few people know when you open it up and look at the green part that we've been able to preserve the majority of the land space in our areas, unincorporated area. You all live in urban unincorporated. All unincorporated means is that you are not part of the city. Those of you who have been living in up in Skyway for a while know that we've had a couple of votes to see if you have wanted to become formalized residents of Seattle or residents of Renton. And there's reasons that those things have been on your ballot. But you're unincorporated. You're part of the 250,000 people of the 2 million people who live in unincorporated King County areas that are not part of the city, that the county government, which I'm a part of, has responsibility for providing services like police services, land use regulations, etc. One of the last couple of years, one of the issues that has been brought to our attention over and over, particularly by Mark, Mark is here, is around the number of, it's a regulation question, the number of marijuana outlets that have been currently approved for Skyway. And my understanding, Mark, is that there are at least 5 that are open. You'll ask us questions about that. And the reason for that is that we, as voters of King County a few years ago, made Washington State the 3rd state in the country that legalized marijuana use for persons 21 years of age or over. And once we did that, we had to go through the process of identifying places where people can open up their stores, marijuana stores, and it's been very controversial, not just here in King County, but across the state of Washington. A second issue that has been, and Mr. Painter mentioned a little earlier, very controversial, and a lot of questions have been raised around it, petitions have been signed around the issue is Mr. Nevzat's, and I'd like to apologize, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, drive-through espresso stand that's located up here. And we'll talk about that, but essentially he has a little coffee stand right now that he's been operating 21 to 23 years, and he has a desire to move across the street and build a bigger stand that allows people to come. No, a building. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say stand. I know it's a larger restaurant where he wants people to be able to come in or drive through. Both. Okay. No, I understand that. And we can talk about that. King County currently, based on the West Hill Community Plan that we adopted in 1994, has specific prohibitions against doing that. And I'll be happy to talk about that when we get to that on the agenda. A third issue that we've gotten concerns raised about and we worked on is related to public safety. Like in the Lake Ridge, Brentmore area, people have been contacting us about a perceived increase in burglaries and property crimes. Some of our statistical basis says that there has been some increase in target areas. Other parts of our said it hasn't been that a lot, but the residents are concerned. So the sheriff increased the patrolling of the Lake Ridge area of Skyway a few months ago. And I'll be willing, along with the other county staff, including the sheriff, be willing to deal with your questions related to that. Also in relation to public safety, there's a lot of youth up here who reside in the Skyway who've had intersections, had conflict and problems in the public schools here and in the Renton School District. And they've been kicked out, moved on. Some have been pushed out into the streets and ended up in the King County Youth Detention Center. And that has been problematic for many of the families up here. And they've asked that more youth services be developed and or expanded in the Skyway area. So there's options to skipping school, hanging out in the streets, not having a job or a gig are developed by community groups and their government. And we'll be talking to them about that. We have something currently called Best Starts for Kids. It's nationally recognized, but very new, large, $450 million effort to provide opportunities and intervention services and programs to enhance opportunities for low-income and working class youth throughout King County. The program started in 2014. We have what we call the Best Starts for Kids, which is a program that many of you voted for in 2015. Certain aspects of the program have existed since 2014, where we're trying creative ways to provide services for youth. As part of that program, we got about $7 million that we've targeted for inner city youth that reside in the cities as well as in urban unincorporated areas that will be used to provide alternative intervention and prevention services that will help those youth so they won't be out breaking and entering, being truants. Still can't hear me? All right. Is this a little better? All right. Part of the $450 million that we'll be spending as part of the Best Starts for Kids program is meant to be targeted toward kids who are likely or have begun we want alternatives for them. We're setting up programs that we hope will provide those alternatives. We have one program that's dealing with this concept of going from public school to jail that we want to stop or reduce the likelihood of King County youngsters being pushed out of school into the streets and into the juvenile. And we have a series of programs that we've set up to provide options for these kids so that this will not be done, so this won't happen. And we'll be able to talk about that a little more later. The last area, the next last area that I wanted to speak to has been economic development. There's been articles, there's been letters, there's been controversy around the extent to which economic development is being promoted in the Skyway area. And I will be willing, along with the other folks from King County, to talk specifically about, besides Mazda's property, other things that have been done in terms of economic development, and hear from you about what you think are the barriers to economic development in Skyway. So I'll be looking forward to hearing your ideas and responses and concerns in that arena. Lastly, we want to hear from you about the West Hill Community Council, the Skyway Solutions Program, the RAISE, the Written Youth Services Program, and we want to hear how you think those programs are serving you and what needs to happen to make them function better. And those that are functioning well, we'd like to hear what you think they're doing well that needs to be supported. If we don't mention programs or community organizing efforts that are going on that you're a part of or that you've heard about and you want to have us check out, this is the time to bring those programs up too. So in a general way, those are the 5 areas that I wanted to mention. Look forward to having very specific discussions with all of you in the next hour regarding those matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Our next speaker is our Deputy County Executive, Fred Jarrett.
Thank you, Alan. I want to start by just saying thank you for coming out and sharing with us tonight. I'm going to try to be brief. That's always a challenge for those of us who are political types. And I'm told that we can take a 5-minute set of information and condense it into 45. So I'll try not to do that. We've been working at Dow's level. One of Dow's major initiatives has been to create the best run government. And we've been working at that now for several years, and we think we're making progress, and we have quite a ways to go. But part of that is learning what you are interested in and being able to take that back and figure out how we can improve the services that we're delivering. So I'm real interested in hearing from you tonight, learning what your issues are. I'm hoping that you'll have a chance to hear what some of our lines of business are doing in this area, and I hope that'll be good information for you. But mostly, we want to hear from you, and so thank you for coming out, and I appreciate your comments.
Thank you, Fred. Our next speaker is Brad Clark with the Department of Permitting and Environmental Review.
Good evening. My name is Brad Clark. I have been with King County about 18 months or so, working at the Department of Permitting and Environmental Review. There's actually three of us here from this department tonight. Our department handles permitting stuff, of course. We also do code enforcement, and what I work in is long-range planning. And I think that's maybe a lot of what we're going to have a chance to dialogue about tonight. And the connection, I thought I'd just, in the few minutes that I have, just clarify what the connection is between the long-range planning work that has happened here in Skyway West Hill and Mr. Nesvat's coffee shop, which has generated a petition, which clearly is a lot of interest for all you folks. So the community right now is one of three, the community meaning West Hill, one of three in King County that has an active community plan. It was adopted in 1994. It does remain active. It's never been amended. So, you know, we're working on a plan where there was no such thing as smartphones and iPods and iPads and all that stuff when it was written. So, while the long-range plans, the idea is to keep them, you know, somewhat accurate. They don't change. They're not supposed to change a lot. But in this case, I think we all can see that 23 years is more than enough time to take another look at it. So the community service, so the program that I'm working with is called the Community Service Area Program, and it relates to, in this case, an update of the entire West Hill Community Plan. The one that is in place, like I mentioned, and has been there since '94 and has not been updated. So what we're going to do is take a look at what the King County Council, when they adopted the King County Comprehensive Plan this last December, they included a motion in that adoption, which specifically said we at this point are not going to adopt the Skyway West Hill Action Plan, and maybe many of you are familiar with that effort that happened over the course of a year and a half or so here to develop the SWAP, Skyway West Hill Action Plan. That was put before the King County Council. Their motion was, we're not really quite ready to adopt that. We want to integrate that into the county's new CSA long-range planning program, which had just kind of started after the SWAP got going. So that's basically where we're at. We're in between now, today, and December 31st of this year. Our department will be facilitating an update to the West Hill Community Plan. And a part of that update, since it is largely a land use and housing commercial type plan, one of the items that we will be looking at as part of the analysis during that whole June to December plan update is the pedestrian-oriented overlay, which is the regulation that is in place, which is keeping Mr. Nesvat from being able to open up across the street. That's a 6-month process. We'll be looking at the two plans and letting you know both online opportunities to engage, as well as probably around September or maybe early October, we'll have a community forum in the area where we'll have live interaction on the topic as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. That would be a very good question as we get into this further. Now, your sheriff, John Urquhart.
Thank you so much. This is, we go all over the county every spring. We go to 10 different community meetings all over unincorporated King County. This is our 10th. This is our wrap-up. We're done after tonight. We can tell each other, it's all the same people for us. We can tell each other stories. You don't need to hear me, John Arthur Wilson, to tell you exactly what I'm going to hear, what I'm going to say most likely. So just so you know. I got to say, this is the first time that the term comprehensive plan change has gotten spontaneous applause from any group. So congratulations. On my way home tonight, I stopped at Diesel to get some chicken to take home with me. And there's a young guy behind the counter, and I gave him the bill, and it didn't seem quite enough. So I looked at my receipt, and the guy gave me the senior discount. I didn't ask for the senior discount. I didn't want the senior discount. But I'll go back again. Let me introduce two of the officers here. Travis Bruner and Ashley Fuentes. Come on up. Travis is your storefront officer, at least temporarily, because Jim Mitchell was on the team. So we're in the military, right? Ashley Fuentes. Are you still in training, Ashley? So he's your trainer, right? Okay, tell her how to do good community police work.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. Thank you. Thank you. I'll talk about crime for just a second. Crime is up, crime is down, it's all over the map up in Skyway. So for the most part, most crime is down. That's just a down. Burglaries, forced entry burglaries are down by 30%. The first 5 months of 2017 compared to 2016. Auto thefts are up, however. Firearm, illegal discharge, reckless shooting is up by double. It's double. And that brings me to really what's going on in South King County, in Seattle, and South King County especially. And we've had some people call it an uptick. It's not an uptick. It's much more than an uptick. These are drive-by shootings, these are shots fired, calls, and these are gang shootings and homicides. And they're up all over South King County. A little bit in Skyway, not quite as bad, but still significant and still very, very troubling. So what's happened is all the South County cities, every single one of them, including the Sheriff's Office, have partnered. We've had meetings. We are attacking this problem in a coordinated way, talking to each other. And we've brought in the U.S. Attorney's Office, the U.S. Marshal's Office, the DEA, ATF, and the FBI. And we are all working together to take these guns off the street and take these shooters when we can catch them and charge them federally. Because they will do much more time federally than they were with local charges. And we are bound and determined to do that. These are, for the most part, gang-type shootings. I always say gang-type, because even though both sides may be in a gang, the shooting may not be over the traditional gang-type issues, which is primarily territory or you disrespected me or something like that. So I always hesitate to call this a gang problem. It's a shooting problem. And I always say, I don't care what color the finger is that pulls the trigger. I want to put the trigger puller in jail. And we're going to do that the best we possibly can, and we're going to put an end to all these shootings. So that's my spiel for tonight. Feel free to ask me any questions when we get to the question part.
Thank you, Sheriff. Our county assessor, John Arthur Wilson.
I'm kind of anticlimactic after listening to the sheriff, aren't I? I'm the tax man. Technically, I'm not the tax man, I'm the tax assessor. But what we do in the Department of Assessment is each year, we set your estimated property value. And that's what your property taxes are based upon. The Skyway area, roughly this last year, your property taxes went up about 8% on that. Property taxes are going up across the county, driven by largely two factors. First of all, roughly close to half of your property taxes go for public education, something I suspect we all support, a good thing. And then another large piece of your property taxes is decided by you, each and every one of you, based upon ballot measures that are on the ballot each year. And those carry over sometimes multiple years now, but those are things that also add to the property tax. Now, part of why we have this is because years ago, Tim Hyman thought it would be a bright idea to limit the property tax increase to 1%. And the fact is, Fred knows this all too well, our expenses, even when we've done a really outstanding job of controlling them, outstrip our revenues. We have a built-in structural deficit. And what that means is each year we run a little short. And so what we're trying to do is both become more efficient, but look at how we modernize that system so that the balance is shared more equitably. Now, one of the things related to equity that I want to talk about in the equity and social justice approach we're taking is a lot of you, if you are the owner-occupant of a home, the taxpayer, you're 61 years and older, and you have a household income of $40,000 a year or less, we have a plan. And my colleague, Rich Watson, in the back of the room, he's got it right there in his hand. That hot sheet is a senior exemption form. And if you fill it out and qualify, we'll give you a graduated break on their property taxes. For some people, literally that's the difference in whether or not they can stay in their homes. And we're very lucky that in the past year we've brought in about 4,000 new applicants to a program that when I took office in early 16 had only 15,000 people in it. I urge you, if you think you qualify, come talk to Rich or I, and we'd be glad to try to get you signed up. Ellen?
Thank you. Now, for the Department of Transportation, Brian and Director Harold Taniguchi.
Hey! Hi, I just wanted to make a comment. Anyway, I'm the Director of the Department of Transportation, and we have 5 divisions. We operate the water taxi that gives rides over to West Seattle and Vashon. We operate King County International Airport at Boeing Field. We have a fleet group, but the last 2 divisions are the ones that are most important to you. One is the Road Services Division. So if you have a road issue or concern about safety or whatever, call 206-477-8100, staff 24/7. We also have back there Brandy Reddick to help answer any questions after the meeting. And we're doing some drainage work. We have a drainage project. We're planning to do some paving on Rainier. I think there's some safety concerns that we're paying attention to. And we're also working on the traffic issues associated with your parade permit. So we're diligently working on that. The other agency is Metro Transit. We have back there Maggie McGee, the transit planner. And I know that we've made some improvements to routes 101 and 112. We made some adjustments that we're hearing about Route 106. But we're trying to get better service out to your area here, make it more easier to commute wherever you want to go, trying to be very proactive about it and figure it out. So sometimes it works really, really well. Sometimes there's some adjustments that people have some concerns about. We're here all night. I know we have other issues to talk about, but I just wanted to give you a quick introduction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Representing the Department of Natural Resources and Parks is our Parks Director, Kevin Brown.
Hey, I'm the guy. Are you ready for some calisthenics? All right. So I'm here tonight representing the department. We have 4 divisions within our department. Wastewater, when you flush that toilet, they make sure that that's treated correctly in an environmentally friendly way. Solid waste, transfer stations, recycling programs, disposal of all your solid waste. We have the Water and Land Resources Division, who manage a lot of farm programs, forestry programs, stormwater programs, and lastly, the Parks Division. I want to talk a little bit about what we've got going on in Skyway. We have over $1 million. Thank you very much, Councilmember Gossett. As part of last year's budget, we've got quite a bit of money to spend at Skyway Park. Improved play area. We're finally going to take care of that restroom, new parking, soccer field. We're going to clean up the entries there as well. So we have big plans for Skyway Park this year. Thank you very much.
Now, together, at last, Sheila Capistani and Andrea Akita, representing the Departments of Community and Human Services and Public Health.
I know that it's hard to hear in the back, so we will try to speak slowly and loudly so that you can understand what we're saying. So tonight I want to talk to you in my minute that I've got about Best Starts for Kids. I am the Strategic Advisor for Children and Youth for the county. Best Starts for Kids, as Councilmember Gossett mentioned, is a pretty amazing thing that the voters passed in our county. It is a 6-year levy, $400 million over that period of time, to provide promotion, prevention, and early intervention services to our young people from prenatal to age 24. So it's innovative in the country to be spanning the entire childhood and going into early adulthood. What we mean by promotion, prevention, and early intervention in real terms, we want to increase the good things that we're doing for our young people. We want to decrease the bad things. We want to intervene early so that we can get people back on track when they need to be. And we want to wrap our communities around our young people. One of the big values of Best Starts for Kids is partnering with our communities and our community-based organizations. So anyone who is interested in Best Starts, you'll see that we're trying to push the county to do things differently, to partner differently, to fund differently. On that note, we have an RFP, which is a request for a proposal for one of our big investments in youth development. Hopefully we'll be coming out next week. That's what we're looking for. Knowing that things can get caught up in the bureaucracy, it could be early the following week. Youth development for mentoring, positive identity development, positive and healthy relationships, and leadership opportunities for our young people. So that's a very exciting investment. It's about $6 million for 2017 and 2018. And we're really excited to partner, again, with small community-based organizations. On that note, I'd like to ask people to sign up for our blog and our newsletter if you're interested in such things, because that's how we're getting information out to people about all the other investments that we'll be making. And if you're not a blog or newsletter person, which in fact I am not, you will find on our back table an orange headlined flyer that lists the names of all of our team members and what part of Vestarts they're in charge of, and you all welcome phone calls or questions if you'd rather talk to a person than read a flyer about that. So I'm going to turn it over to Andrea.
Skyway West Hill, hello, I'm Andrea Akita, and I am with the Communities of Opportunity Initiative. Public health is in the house. I'm here with Ann and Erica and David. We have a lot of information and we're happy to answer questions. I was asked to talk a little bit about one of the newer initiatives that's part of public health and the Department of Community and Human Services. It's part of the Best Starts for Kids levy called Communities of Opportunity. And this is basically one of the vision and commitments of King County that we are making to see that we are creating greater health, social, economic, and racial equity for all residents in King County, regardless of where we live or regardless of our race or ethnicity, our age, our income. And so we are really excited to be expanding this program. We are focusing on, well, we know in King County that if we look at the average health and well-being, that we're doing really well compared to most places across the country. But this masks greater disparities within our county, and we are really dedicated to make sure that we can lift up all of the residents and believe that we can do that by making investments in specific geographic areas and focused on some policy change initiatives that focus around safe and affordable housing, economic opportunity, health, and community connections. The way in which we're doing this is to make sure that our community is leading in change and solutions and implementing the things that are going to make a difference in your communities, in our communities. And that's how we're going to see that change spread across all of King County. So we have been working with Skyway communities, and we look forward to expanding those partnerships.
Thank you.
Our last special speaker is Deborah Clifford with the Office of Law Enforcement Oversight.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay in the back? I know that mic isn't awesome. Great. How many of you knew that King County had an Office of Law Enforcement Oversight? Not you. A few of you. Great. Well, that's why I'm here, to tell you a little bit more about it. Our office does 3 basic functions right now. One thing we do is review the internal investigations conducted by the Sheriff's Office to see that they are thorough and objective. Another thing we do is systemic reviews, looks for trends in different issues like use of force or training or discrimination issues. And then the third bucket is outreach. That's me here today, and today I have our first piece of swag, which is a magnet for our office. They're back on the table if you're interested in grabbing one, and then you'll have memorized my presentation. In November of 2015, the voters of King County voted to expand the authorities of our office to include the right to do individual investigations. That has now been adopted in an ordinance that was unanimously passed by the King County Council on April 17th. Councilman Gossett is one of our champions and someone who really believes in the value of police oversight and the value of enhancing the trust between police and the community that they serve. Now that ordinance is in collective bargaining, and that's a sometimes lengthy and uncertain process, but that's where it's going. Just like Seattle also has a civilian oversight ordinance going into collective bargaining. So watch them go. We'll see what happens. One of the key aspects of our oversight and our outreach work is having citizen involvement, and we have a Citizens Advisory Committee, and I'm very pleased that Tamika Moss, who's on our committee, is here today. Also, Reverend Steve Faber is on our committee, and he works a lot in this area, as well as others you know. So I know that sometimes police issues aren't something that you want to raise your hand and talk about in public, maybe especially when the sheriff's here, I don't know, but we're back there. We'll leave our cards. You're welcome to grab them. We're lucky to have a strong and progressive police leader. We have a good department. We help to work in partnership to make it even better, so thank you.
Thank you very much. I just would like to introduce a couple folks who are in the back. From the Office of Emergency Management, Michelle Chatterton. So in case you want to get ready for the big one, she has the material necessary for that. From the Office of Cable Compliance, Chris Jaramillo, back there. I also would like to welcome a couple of special guests. First, Scott Duggan, who is your Community Service Officer here. The Senator, Senator Zelmania, is back there as well. Welcome, Senator. The Fire Chief, in the back there, Fire District 20. Please, back there. Okay, great. So, what we'd like to do now is open it up for questions from the floor for a few issues before, but we have 28 people who signed up to comment on coffee, so we'll have to move that right along. I want to announce two things. First, we're going to have a time limit on the questions so we can get through as many as possible. And second, I want to let everybody know, if you haven't noticed already, that the West Hill Community Association is doing a live streaming of this on Facebook. So just wanted to let you know. What we'd like you to do when we call on people to speak on the coffee issue, we have a mic over there if we can line up so we can go through as fast as possible in order to hear from you. So, other questions? Mark Johnston.
Thanks, Alan. I actually have two questions, and I'll reserve one.
Hold it up to your mouth.
Sorry? I actually have two questions, and then... well, I'm actually asking you guys a question. All right. So, folks probably here know that 5 retail marijuana stores have opened in the last couple of years. And 10 stores have opened in Skyway's urban unincorporated areas exclusively, which only represents about 18% of county population. So my question for you, Councilmember Gossett, and for Fred Jarrett, representing the Executive's office, is how does the proliferation of marijuana stores square with your personal and your organizational civil rights agenda and equity and social justice agenda for unincorporated King County, and particularly Skyway?
Really, dude? Really?
As I said earlier, Mark, the 5 stores in Skyway for selling and distributing marijuana are legal. They went to the state government, got the licensing they did. They were vetted, and they were authorized by the state to have these stores. And that's why they're here. And it was stated that they had to be in certain kinds of neighborhoods and business districts.
That's the county policy.
And have they brought more crime?
That's the county
Well,
policy that I think
you have to ask the sheriff
Have they
that.
brought more crime?
I don't,
is it still going.
well, wait a minute. I don't know if they bought marijuana. I haven't been told that having marijuana stores is bought. I haven't been told that having marijuana stores in existence, that all of us voted for, majority, not everybody, has brought more crime. So I don't think so, and I don't know, but that would be appropriate for the store. That would be appropriate for the sheriff to respond to whether or not the existence of marijuana stores has brought more crime to the community. I know that the stores that are here are legal. They're not illegal. They meet the criteria. You know, Sheriff, if you want to say anything, have anybody want to say anything?
The simple answer is no. They have not brought more crime. If you went around and opened up 5 new 7-Elevens in Skyway, or pretty much any other store, at some point in time, there's a good chance they'll get robbed. And I don't think there's been any robberies up here that I'm aware of, the marijuana stores. There's been one robbery in the White Center, and we go to the White Center and we get the same thing. There's too many damn marijuana stores. I tend to agree with you. Just because the community doesn't want them. And whether they're legal or not, the community doesn't want them. And we, the government, needs to figure out a way to control the number of stores. And here's the underlying problem. Marijuana became legal because of an initiative. And the state of Washington, we pretty much govern, we make laws oftentimes by initiative. And that's messy. And that means that the initiative laws aren't very well thought out, but we end up with them because people vote for them. Thanks to Tim Hyman, we see that all the time. And until the legislature really steps up to the plate and passes some of these laws themselves, where they can fine tune them, where they can put zoning regulations into the laws, because that's the problem we have now. These are legal, but there's no zoning that controls how many there are. And that's a problem. I hear that all over King County, whether it's the grow locations, out in the rural areas, or in the metropolitan areas, the urban areas, the number of stores. Huge problem.
John did a great job of talking about the legal issues. I just wanted to add one more thing, and that is, with the advent of legalized marijuana, local governments are allocated a certain amount of the tax money that is collected from the sales. We get about $1.3 million a year right now. We're worried that the legislature may be, in their budget negotiations right now, diverting that into some other funding uses. But right now we get $1.3 million. As a consequence of that, we were able to add one more person out in the deeper organization to manage the zoning and the permitting of these facilities. And we were able to put the rest of the money into the sheriff's office so that we can be able to police the stores. So we are trying to do what we can, but as John pointed out, we are limited by what the initiative permits and what the legislature's been able to do to adjust it.
Thank you. Before the next question, I just want to welcome Ren School Board Director Avanti Berquist here. Thank you for coming. Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Our mailboxes have been broken into like 3 times in the last month. And I think the sheriff had mentioned there's more patrols in the Lake Ridge area. I live in the Campbell Hill area, and I'd like to see more police, a sheriff patrol in that area. Because we have the homeless camp over on 129, and then there's a clean and sober house down the street. So we need to.
Ours was broken into as well.
Yeah.
Recently.
Thank you.
So I have a question for the sheriff. So you talked about attacking crime, and a couple of solutions that you proposed was throwing people in jail and charging them federally. So I'm curious about specifically, like, what is your plan? You talked about bringing in the FBI and the U.S. Marshals. So I'm curious about what does the data say? Like, what is the root cause? If there are random shootings happening, like, if the number of random shootings is going up, does that mean homicides are going up as well? Like, I just want to know root cause and specific plans of action.
Yes. Homicides are going up. The root cause of the gang violence, which is the shootings, the drive-by shootings, the shots fired, the homicides, the people that are hit but don't die, the root cause is guns. Guns on the street. Too many illegal guns on the street. So where do those guns come from? They primarily come from burglaries. This part of the country, we don't have that many straw purchasers, people that are in business really to sell guns. They're coming from burglaries where people don't lock their guns up, they get stolen, they end up on the street, sold from person to person. That's kind of the root cause of that.
So what's your plan?
Our plan is to partner with other police agencies and put emphasis patrols out there going after and using intelligence information to go after the people that are doing these shootings. People know about what's going on. Parents know that their kids, and by kids I mean 18, 19, 20 through 30 years old, they know that they're out there in that gang life. They know that they're out there shooting. They have to come to us. They have to tell us what's going to happen and who these people are and who these people are that have guns, because if they don't, these people are going to die. That's really what it boils down to.
So I'm curious about, Councilman Gossett mentioned like the number of kids that are being kicked out of schools and then also going to jail. And I'm just curious about how are the two of you working together? You're talking about other organizations that you're, putting people in jail, but he also talked about like community, offering some sort of services for these young people. So,
What are we doing in government, not just me? What's the government doing to keep kids out of the criminal justice system? Is that accurate paraphrasing?
yes.
I'm on the Juvenile Justice Steering Committee. That involves police officers and public defenders and the prosecutor's office and community members. And we meet monthly. We've met monthly for the last almost 18 months now. And some of the things that we have done is we made sure that when kids are in jail, in juvie jail, the youth center, they have a right to an attorney before they talk to a police officer. A police officer cannot go into the youth center and interview somebody without an attorney being present. That's number one. Down in Tukwila, they have a huge problem with youth shoplifting at South Center. And working with the Tukwila Police Department, they are going to divert those kids out of the criminal justice system, so when they do get arrested for shoplifting, they don't go to the youth center, they don't get a criminal charge, they are taken to the community, to a peer member, or somebody that can work with them to change their behavior, including their parents. Those are two things that have come out of that meeting. There's also school board members on there. I have about a dozen officers that are in school resource officers. My guys and women are not allowed to do anything with school discipline. They are not involved in that one iota. Okay? So if a kid is acting up in school, they're not going to talk to the school resource officer. If they commit a crime in school, yes, they are. So that's just kind of three examples.
Sir? And suspension, sorry.
Somebody else has a question. There's a question. I saw a hand over here.
So this may be a one-off, but I live at the bottom of on Langston at the bottom of 76th and 78th, and I'm wondering if there's any plans to help us reduce the water runoff from the top of the hill. It's flooding our basements and eroding our property.
Yeah, I live across the street. A week after it rains, I have water running across my driveway still.
I'm Brian Slayton with Water and Land Resources Division. We have a stormwater complaint line you can call, and we'll send a drainage investigator out there. That's the first step in getting the process going. We do have some programs that will, if the problem qualifies for, will solve the problem for you. We can provide technical assistance if it's something out of our reach. And if it's something related to the roads or another agency, we can partner with them and bring them in for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. This gentleman.
Hey, I assume, Sheriff, that those children that you'll be working with will think of public health so that they can actually do a job. That the money that's being taxed will be used to pick those kids and find jobs and give them alternative education, job training, and things like that. And I guess Transportation Department, I definitely like to voice my concern too. I believe some of the flooding might be from the roads, how we're not being cared for. And speaking of the roads, I guess I'd like to see, more living next to a school. I'm so worried every time those children come home, and I guess I'm more worried about the children today, what they're doing today, not what they're going to be, might be doing tomorrow as far as crime. Let's face it, if you don't take care of them today, there won't be a tomorrow. But why won't we have crosswalks for them or marked walks for them? Why do I have people speeding down my part of town because you whitened the roads up, which made it easier for drag racing? And I guess I'm curious as to my request for four-way stops and are being ignored, and I'm wondering why. Why are we the armpit of King County?
It makes me very sad that you apply when he makes a comment like that. It makes me very sad. So, Mr. Gardner? Mr. Gardner. Yeah, Mr. Gardner, thank you very much for making your comments. We have, that's why you're here, we know that. We have taken down the information, and if we have not been very responsive before, something's not right. But we should be diligently reviewing.
How much surveys you have to do?
But there is a process that we use to evaluate a safety concern. We take that very, very seriously, and unfortunately sometimes when we come up with a solution set that we feel we can stand behind for liability purposes and all that, operational doesn't match what the resident or the person that asked for it has in mind. So that's a fact of life.
Well, why if it wouldn't go, the white guy shouldn't compete like I am. Why? You know, why
No,
am I
sir.
competing?
This is meeting number 9, and people that don't look like you have said the same thing, maybe a little bit differently, but it's not that we're not being responsive to the community, in my
23
opinion.
years is a long time.
In my opinion, it's not. I could be wrong. It's not. I don't think it's that way. But we're hearing your concerns. We've taken down some information about what you brought tonight on the roadway, the widening, and all that. So we'll look into that, and we can report back to everybody that's signed up on the email list what we've come up with and how responsive we are. But your other concern about why we're ignoring you, we know. We're not doing. We have done sidewalk work out here. We've done paving work out here. We're continuing to do drainage work out here. We are not as resourced as we used to be. That's not an excuse. That's a fact. But we stand behind it. We're going to be here all night, and we come back every year. I'm here every year. So
You're right. Start with
right,
long-range planning.
right. Every year I come back, and I don't remember you raising these concerns before. So everybody that's coming back out here next year, you'll remember you standing up, and I'll be back here responding to your concerns.
Thank you, Harold.
I just have a question for the police department, and maybe there are other people in the room that are concerned. But driving through Skyway, the speed limit is 25 miles an hour. They're doing 40 to 50, and I drive that twice a day, every day. And I sit there at the coffee shop, and I can just see them scream by, and I don't get that.
Well, maybe we should.
Transportation property again.
You know what the coffee shop we're talking about? The one we're here for. That's that. The one in Skyway. And I'm run off the road.
I'm gonna break a bicycle.
Right around us, the people that are doing the speed limit. And one day somebody's gonna get killed.
If you have a speeding concern about a specific roadway, 2 things you can do. Go online, the sheriff's office website, file a complaint, or go to the precinct. We'll put people out here to enforce the speed limit as best we can. Or you can call straight to the precinct over in Burien and file a complaint that way. And we'll do what we can to, when we're not answering 911 calls, to answer the speeding problem. But let us know specifically where it is, and we can do that. Now, we can't flood Skyway with police officers, so that ain't gonna happen. I don't have a traffic unit. I don't have any motorcycle traffic officers. All I have is, let me finish, all I have is the people that work up here answering 911 calls. And when they're available, they don't look the other way. They're not sitting in coffee shops, they're not sitting in Denny's, they're out here working. We have 2 officers, 24 hours a day, a 3rd officer, the storefront officer who works on these types of problems 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So.
Nobody in Skyway.
Pardon me?
Nobody in Skyway at all.
Yes, we have 2 officers here, 2 cars, 24 hours a day.
They go right by at 50 miles an hour, not that.
Well, they ought to get a damn ticket.
Sure.
All right? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Travis.
One other problem that we face is the lack of equipment needed to cite people. If we're sitting in front of a storefront, I'm one of the few deputies up here in Skyway. Right now there's 3 other cops other than me up here. I'm the only one in my car with a radar unit. I work school zones down at Bryn Mawr Elementary to earn it through a state-funded grant program. So I've got a radar and a LiDAR in my car, which allows me to do the traffic enforcement. We can't just say, hey, that person, you can obviously tell they're speeding. We know they're speeding, but unless we actually have a reading on a piece of equipment that has been certified by the state, it's got to get certified every 2 years, we have to go through a certain amount of training, we can't just pull behind it and stop and going, hey, you were speeding. I don't know how fast you were. Well, I'm guessing 50. Speed limit is 25, because now we violated their rights. If we pull out behind them, which it happens often, they slow down. By the time we get a pace on them, by basically pulling behind them and going at their speed, they already slowed down to 25, so we can't stop them.
So there's one officer that can give speeding tickets in this area? You're the only officer that can give speeding tickets?
That's not correct.
You're the only one with a gun.
No, I'm the only one currently up here today that's got one. We have other deputies that work up here that have them. I'm a storefront deputy currently, while Deputy Mitchell is out on military leave. I have the freedom to be able to write citations. If our other deputies who currently are answering 911 calls for service have downtime, they can do that. But if they're going to a domestic dispute, residential burglary, a shoplift, a alcohol complaint, they're going to be doing that opposed to the traffic.
We'll take some of that $1 million marijuana money that Fred was talking about and buy some more radar units.
We can continue to go with different questions here, but we have 25 people who signed up to talk about coffee. And so what I'd like to do is, you've seen the department folks, so if you have a specific question about the specific department or the sheriff, they could go in the back and have that dialogue while we have the folks who are talking about the coffee shop. Does that work for people?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'd like to start calling up the folks. What we'd like to do, 2 minutes, we have a timer, and if you hear something feel free to use that up. But we have a mic up here so that everybody can hear it, and that way we'll move up. So if Aaron Todd could move up, he'll be number 1. Tom Gariner, number 2. Bill Bowden, 3rd. And Tamara Shoemaker. So if you could line up behind the mic, that way we can keep moving. Thank you. So Aaron, you're first.
Looks like Mr. Nevzat has quite a following in the community. So I'm a cyclist, and I may not be obvious to a lot of people in the community, but I have seen a lot of changes in our road and traffic management and the pedestrian overlay and things as I come through the town on my bicycle to a factory down by the water there. And you're spot on with people speeding in various areas, but Mr. Nevzat is how I see Skyway. You know, it seems that such a reasonable request that he should be able to take his existing business and move it across the street. And you know, the plan needs some amendment. It needs some changes. It needs to be responsive to the needs of the community. And it seems such a reasonable request that I felt compelled to come here and voice my support towards amending the plan to
allow businesses to run.
Exactly, to allow businesses to run. And I feel like this is going to be echoed many times over, so I'll yield the mic to the next person. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Tom, sorry.
Am I Tom?
Yes.
Are you Tom?
No,
Yes, I am Tom. I am the man. I am the guy. I'm the one that stood up before. Hey, listen, this project that's going on, if this was Duval or Woodinville, economic development would have been happening already. These guys would have been here sooner. Businesses would have been prosperous on this area. But of course, we don't have Duval people living here. And I guess I'd like to see this project being built by people who live in the community. I want to see these children who are in trouble as bricklayers, as carpenters, as electricians. If this guy's going to come into the community and bring someone from Duval or Kitsap County to help build this, then we're right back where we started. Gentrification is already creeping this way. And as you notice, none of the people who live in those neighborhoods live there anymore. Same thing here. None of you people will be living here if you don't start taking care of it now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Bill Bowden, followed by Tamara Shoemaker, followed by
Can we
Bill.
hear what the reason is that the coffee shop can't be there?
Actually, let's go to my question.
Okay, thank you.
So, actually, my question is kind of twofold. So,
Can you hear
all right.
Get into it.
I'll give you the other mic.
Who did this crazy setup here? Crazy mic setup.
Come out further. Come out this way.
So my question is actually kind of twofold. So it is one, will the new sub-area plan, once it's implemented, essentially effectively
roll in the SDO, and then the lone SDO that exists in King County, Special District Overlay, will then cease to exist. And that will be, as part of the summary plan, moved into the comp plan. Second part is, would you describe the process that NESDAQ has to go through to actually get the variance that he needs to implement his coffee house plan?
It's very loud in the back. You have to pay attention to what we're not, you may not hear it up there.
Okay. So, on the question about the reason why, maybe I'll just touch this woman's question first and then go to the.
Oh, no, Bill's question's probably way better.
But they're all wrapped together. They're all wrapped together. So in that plan that I mentioned, the 1994 community plan, was my understanding, this idea of this pedestrian overlay, came into effect then. And it applied here in Skyway and it applied in Kenmore. Kenmore, of course, it doesn't apply anymore because it got incorporated. So it only applies here now.
I don't mean to be rude, but what is the reason? There's something about, that was mentioned about people walking on in the area. So what is
I think it's called a pedestrian overlay, and we have Karen Wolf here who maybe could shed some light on the history of it. She is with the regional planning, but the basic.
Because there was always businesses up
There,
there.
yes. Let me answer the question.
Now that people can't walk.
So, are you interested in an answer or not?
Yes, but to the question, not the roundabout, and you don't know the answer, and now you're getting somebody else.
So there's a lot of desire to have businesses that can have pedestrian, safely walking to and getting to these businesses. So that's the vision. When it comes to sidewalks and actually building them, that only happens one lot at a time when a commercial business develops. So I think you all know better than anybody, if they're not having a new business, then you're not going to have the sidewalk built. So there's that one stretch on So there's that one stretch on Renton Avenue on the opposite side from where Mr. Nesbitt's shop is now that does not have sidewalk. All the rest does. Now, it doesn't mean that there wouldn't be a sidewalk built if he did move across the street or somebody went in. The idea originally, Karen can maybe shed some light on that.
Fred's doing a great job. No, this is why we need to, look at the plan, because this was put into place, as Brad said, in '94, so over 20 years ago. The idea was that we wanted this community to have a walkable commercial area where you would feel comfortable walking to and from shop to shop, from your home to the shops, from the bus to the shops, and so on, that you would feel comfortable and safe walking. And so that's why these conditions were put into place. It's maybe, as Brad said, we're going to be redoing the plan. We'll look at that. There may be some way to accommodate both the coffee shop owner and still satisfy this desire to have a walkable community. I know it doesn't look like that now, but if you look across the street where the library is, there's sidewalks. I mean, the point is that over time...
There's no businesses, and you're not allowing a business to break
over
the
time,
build the
that's
sidewalk
the
later.
point, is that if you allow, so you have to kind of hold on to the vision to get a
I've been
community.
here since 1989. There was businesses
Thank
up
you
there
very
before.
much. Right.
There was
And so-
businesses there before. Now you're saying a business can't be there because you put something in
We are
1994
saying
that people can't
one
walk.
specific type of business is not consistent with the current rules. As Brad said, we are looking at the plan for the area, which is over 20 years old, and everyone will have an opportunity to comment, and we will look at that and try and find
some solutions, some compromises that allow for some new businesses, but also protect this ability to create a pedestrian community.
Do you leave your car at home and walk to all these businesses? Like
The next
Safeway
speaker
or
is Tamara Shoemaker, followed by Bill Schindlerman, and then after that, Alexandra Perry and Kathleen Sidwell.
I just want to say that I'm a business owner. I have 2 businesses and a commercial building in Kent. I drive through Skyway every day. The reason I go there is to go to Nevzat's coffee shop. That's the only reason. Otherwise, what's the point? I don't drink. I'm not a churchgoer. I don't smoke weed. So there's no other reason for me to go to Skyway, right? That's all we got. We got taverns, we got weed, and we got churches. Is somebody missing? Oh, chicken. Chicken. So I have to applaud him because he has to have been very tenacious the last 20-some years in that location, right? How did he do it? Where's he got? I don't know. So we need him there because that's all there is. Skyway is like the ugly red-headed stepchild of Seattle, and we need to invest in it, and we need your help.
I do think that a little more background on this project needs to be shared with you.
No. It's been years. What project?
Let's just move on.
There's been nothing except for businesses going under and businesses going on.
I mean, a few minutes ago, we were talking about marijuana.
Well,
stores.
let's move on with what we're doing. You can write a blog on this. You're wasting our time.
A few minutes ago.
No, you don't even want to hear it.
Well, then you know. You can go home.
Dictatorship versus a group session.
Quiet, guys.
No, they're not allowing me to give the answer. Mr. Mazda came in and asked for a zoning change a few years. Excuse me, he asked for a zoning change because he wanted to provide the purchase of a piece of property across the street from where his current little shop is located, his coffee shop. Okay? And when he went in, they told him that you cannot put drive-up restaurant across the street. Yes, you're going to purchase a bigger building that will allow you to sell food inside, as well as you desire to allow cars to come through and buy coffee and drive on the way. I'm just going back. He came in to the deeper office, to the regulation office, to the county office that makes determinations about whether or not you can do this or that.
Okay, we're sorry, but...
Why do you interrupt? You're not listening, lady.
Yes.
Yeah, she keeps interrupting.
Okay, fine.
I'm going.
Thank you.
He came, thank you.
Thank you.
He came in, I made a request, and asked the staff, if I buy this property across the street, can I use it for people coming in and sitting down and purchasing food or coffee, or driving through and purchasing coffee through the drive-through window? They told him no, because there's an overlay zone that was put there by the West Hill Community Council as part of a planning effort in 1994. That's the regulation. But despite that, he went forward and purchased the property anyway. Came back to the office and I purchased the property. Is there anything you can do to change the current regulation so that I can have this kind of business up here on my new property? The same lady he talked to before said, I'm sorry, sir, under the current regulations, you cannot do that. You have to try to get a land use attorney, or you have to get some changes. What has been proposed by the persons representing people who are here with us tonight is that there's a couple ways possibly out. You all can go to the West Hill Community Council, resurface their 1994 decision, say that we would like to change it so we allow drive-throughs on this particular block where his new store is, and change it. What's kind of confusing to me when we're talking about the marijuana use, people wanted more stricter land use policies imposed and enforced so we wouldn't have so many stores that sell marijuana up here. Mr. Manifest's property, you're demanding that the existing criteria, guidelines that are preventing, that are preventing him from being able to legally use it in the manner that he wants it, just be overlooked because people sign petitions, they don't want it. We're trying to figure out, is there a process that we can go through that would allow him to have the store and operate in the manner that he desires? And we're saying that it would have to be some changes in the regulations, and it is possible to get there, but that's what will happen. I don't know how this idea that he should just be allowed to build it because he wants to develop. We can get there, but it will require land use policy changes.
How many years?
I don't think it has to take years. You think?
The goal is to get the plan done
Yeah.
December, by December of this year.
Yeah.
Change.
But wait, what are those? Is it planned?
So I'm the other part that comes to Skyway every day, twice a day, to get the coffee. I don't support the big guys that with the burnt beans and set the Sonic someplace else. So like a little coffee shop that I could just stop and go inside maybe and have some coffee. I don't understand why a restaurant can open up there, a tavern that's got drunks going all over the road, walking, if there's no sidewalk, and that's a big deal. I hear this economic growth, all I've heard is pot. Where are we getting the economic growth? So somebody wants to open a business, a coffee business, in a state that's a coffee state, and denial because there's not a sidewalk. I don't quite understand that. I think that we have to kind of look at, if we want to make Skyway grow, we have to bring business. Not another church, not against that, but we don't have any business in Skyway. And when you build Skyway, and every time I drive through there, I go, who's going to maintain it? It looks like hell. So I think we better get on the program of maintenance too. Thank you. Alexander Perry.
So I'm going to reiterate a lot of what's already been said, so I'll just not do it. But one of the things that I find interesting is you have a go-forward plan for a pedestrian community. Skyway currently is not a pedestrian community. And I don't know how you're going to reach that point in the future. I mean, I see that going out 30 years, maybe. You put in all those sidewalks up there, it's very pleasant. You don't maintain the flowers, they're dying. The guys that go to the little mini mart there, the owner's great, but the people that park in the parking lot sell dope, pee on the sidewalk, pee in the parking lot. So we're not bringing in the right type of businesses.
Yes.
And NAVSAT coffee shop is the right type of business.
Yes.
Thank you. The Sidwell family, Kathleen, Nicholas, and Jeremy? Jerry? I'll give you, all come on up, thanks. And then that'll be followed by Ira Sasharoff. And Debbie Sasharoff.
Okay. Yeah. I've known NAVSAT for 20 plus years, kept an eye on my kids. We really enjoyed having this coffee stand up there. My husband and I, when we were both self-employed, got to walk up, and we do walk. We walk all over Skyway, but we realize it's not for everybody. And we were so excited about having the coffee shop, and then suddenly this barrier came up. And so we started looking at it, and we do understand, I'm a little concerned that you know, oh, we told him no, so that was it. And I maybe that wasn't what you meant, but Nassau has had this coffee shop, he has built up his business, and believe me, how many people would work 12 hours a day from 5 o'clock in the morning, 7 days a week, for at least, I think it was 15 years before he took a vacation. And so he has definitely earned our respect and be able to run a business. He wanted it in the Skyway, but this overlay is everywhere on the commercial areas in Skyway. So this is telling him he can't have it at all in Skyway, but that's where his customers know where he is. So when this building came up to be bought, he really had to jump and make it work. And we were all behind him. We wanted a variance. We weren't even looking at changing the entire plan. He had gotten a variance before for just his property. And that's originally what we're looking at. December, you know, if I realize things go slowly, that may have to be what it is, but it is disappointing that even then it may take a while. But I do definitely think we need to back off on the idea of having Skyway be a walking place at this point in time.
Thank you.
She already kind of went out a lot with what I had, Nicholas. Yeah. I'm using my voice because if I use this mic, I will blow out all of your ears. So, but honestly, I was going to touch on a lot of what she had said. It was more the case of the building he bought was originally a drive-through in the first place. So why can't we get a variance to actually make that a drive-through again? Why can't we use that to have his coffee shop so that we can have the cars, which are still the primary mode of transportation around here, and that way you can over time work on getting those sidewalks, but we can still have our coffee shop now so that we won't have to wait another 20 or so years for you to finally get around to making that other sidewalk you need.
Well, this makes the rest of this real. I do a lot of walking in Skyway, in local areas. I go all the way down to Bryn Mawr, I walk all the way up to the Rochelle, places like that. I'm seeing more and more people out there walking. Most of them are heading to Nassau's coffee shop. We have the fire department people walk across. It's there. If he goes to across the street, his little coffee shop that he's in now will cease to exist. But by going across the street, he then will have the ability to have a drive-through, if they allow it, a variance, have a drive-through for those that drive through, and also a place for us to walk around and sit down, and enlarge it with possibly in the future, maybe a cafe. What does this do? It then provides a place for people to walk. Yes! Is right now, there's parking in front. People driving in and out, multiple cars backing out on the line. If he does it right, he drives through, goes out, he comes out an existing access. I think there's a lot of benefits to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Pastor, followed by Joe Lemon and Ben Stubbs.
This is not about NEMSA. This is about what the community wants. And people who live in West Hill Skyway are used to feeling that things are imposed on them. We didn't get to pick whether we wanted casinos in the community. Cities have restrictions. They don't allow casinos. Cities have restrictions on the number of marijuana stores that are allowed. Not in unincorporated urban King County, that's why we got 5. We didn't get to pick. I've got nothing against pot, I've got nothing against gambling, and I've got nothing against the number of churches, but these are not serving the community. The people who go to the casinos and the people who go to the pot stores are largely people who come from outside of the community. If Nevzat opens a coffee shop with an adjacent drive-through, it'll be pretty much 100% people who are from the community and additional visitors. This is not something that should be delayed because, I don't know, rules are rules, they've got to go through this 2-year process, that's the way things are done. No!
It was a stupid rule to be.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Debbie, that's
First, I wanted to explain something to those who might not understand that Nevzat has a coffee drive-through now. He is not asking for a second one. He's already been permitted to have one drive-through. This is not adding a drive-through. He wants to open a coffee shop, and that is legal, and that is permitted. All he wants to do is have a coffee shop with the drive-through near it. So what are his choices? And really, we're not trying to please Nevzat. I'm trying to please the community because I live in Skyway, and I want a coffee shop with a drive-through. And all it would take is a variance, which he already got a variance for a drive-through. So basically, he's been permitted to have a drive-through. It's already been done. 22 years ago, he got a variance for a drive-through. Now he's saying, let me move it across the street. That's it. The coffee shop is already legal. So that's my first point. My second point is that people feel really hopeless about Skyway. They say it'll never be a pedestrian, blah, blah, blah. But the way you build a neighborhood is a little bit at a time. When a business is going in to try to find out, oh, should I put a business here? What already exists? If they see there's a coffee shop, maybe they want to open a bakery next door. Maybe they want to open a plant store. Who knows? But if they see nothing but pot stores and bars and a food bank or whatever, no, they're not interested. So let's take a broad view and say, one more point is, the reason he can't have that drive-through right now is because in the plan, drive-throughs are not allowed. I'm not saying let's change the plan so that the whole street is drive-through McDonald's and blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying, let's just move the variance across the street.
I think it's possible. Listen, I think it's possible to move the Allen variance to facilitate his movement, but we got to go through the process of doing that. It's the Westhill Community Council that came up with the variances that they prioritized, voted on, and said to their government that they wanted this to be your guidepost for the development in this area. Then that's there. That can be changed. He just said we can change it before the end of this year by the department doing what it has to do to lay out the criteria for getting a variance, going to the Westhill Community Council and having them review this variance request, voting on it, and then making the change so that at least this one store can have a variance in his move across the street. That is possible. But we have to have a process. We can't just do it. And one final thing I'd like to say, because this very negativity toward the small churches out here kind of bothers me. It comes across as being kind of biased because all these churches are small African American churches. They're not businesses. So what? They're not businesses, they're churches.
They're not businesses
Right,
that
but-
bring people in activity and money.
They're not businesses that bring.
They're vital to
It's
the
a-
community.
it's
What
still
economics do they
insulting
bring into
that you
Skyway?
say a church is nothing, all they have, Irishmen, or they call, all they have is some old churches, like these churches are illegitimate.
They pop up every week. Nobody's complaining about that. That's what the Vatican.
Larry, we need spiritual vitality here, but we also need economic vitality.
Thank you. The next speaker is Joe Lemon, followed by Ben Stubbs and Julia Balls.
Thank you. This might seem like a strange question. Has anyone here actually read this? The overlay sheet?
Yes.
Because sorry.
Hold the mic up to your mouth.
I was trying to read something off at the same time, sorry. I'll try and do it from memory, which it probably won't work out so well. Because in here, it doesn't, let's see here. With the way they have written it, there looks like there would be exceptions to allowing it to be, because, sorry. Because they, just put that down. Yeah, the way some of it's written, it does sound like that there is allowances for a drive-through or something similar already. Because as long as it's not on the main front of the building. Because there isn't too much difference between, say, someone parking, picking something up, and someone just handing someone a coffee. And it actually does allow such things. Or if nothing else, a temporary variance could be picked up for that particular address. Because I know from asking other people about it that the reason he couldn't move it was set for that address. But a temporary one, I would think, could be applied for or gotten until they complete whatever process they're working on.
I'm not aware of what you're pointing out. I will definitely look at that. I can tell you that our research. We will definitely look at that. I'm not reading off the top of my head. I don't remember what you're saying. Right. The variance process, there is one. I believe what has been told to him and others is, number one, takes time and it's expensive, and the truth is that the faster way to get it done is probably to go through the process that we're doing right now. That's what we have looked at, just because of the way that it's set up. So thank you for pointing out the fact that there might be something else in there. We'll look at that one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ben Stubbs, Julie, Nora Percival, and Lacey Jameson.
I live in Skyway and I go to the coffee shop, and I just wanted to add my support to Nevzat's initiative, because I think a coffee shop will bring a real good sense of community to our area. And it's a place where if you're gonna go to a restaurant, you're gonna pay $20 and you should be hungry, and you're probably not gonna talk a lot, but a coffee shop, it's not a bar and it's not gonna be alcohol. A coffee shop serves a real good community creating function that I was really excited when I heard about it, and I can see that a lot of other people were excited about it. So I just, I'm just grateful for the opportunity to express to these good King County officials how much we want this and how much we think it's going to be a positive thing. When Grocery Outlet opened, I really always have a good feeling when I go in there, and it has improved my quality of life to have a community, local place that I can go and see happy people and get, food and stuff. And so I'm real excited. And one other thing I want to say is Nevzat's a very good person for building community. As you can see, I would never have come to this meeting or been involved in this community if it wasn't for him, talking to me about it and stuff. And if you want community, then you'll support this.
Thank you very much.
I've lived in Skyway for 46 years, and the thought of having a nice little coffee shop to go and sit down inside and talk with your neighbors is really kind of exciting. And I don't really get the thing about not driving through, because the Milk Barn years ago had a drive-through, and nobody is opposed that having a drive-through plus a coffee shop. And it would be a beautiful addition to Skyway. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Percival, Lacey Jameson, King Ernest, and James Shaman. Okay, I don't see. I'm going to keep going down then. Cynthia Lamoth. Are you? Okay. Cynthia Lamoth.
Is anybody else left?
Yep.
Who's after her on the list?
I'll get there. Hang on.
So I first off like to say that we are not the armpit of Keith County. In fact, if anything, we are a hidden gem. From this area of the county, you can go north, south, east, or west easier than you can from any place else. Number two, my dad had his business up at Skyway for almost 40 years. And I've lived in the area for over 25 years. And I've known Nevzat for most of those years. He's an institution in the community. He hires local kids. Okay? We're not asking the county to ignore the rules, but we are asking, and I'm asking Brad and Councilman Gossett to please assist us and expedite the process, because 6 months is really a long time.
Thank you. Terry Williams, Jim Marston, Carla Cooper, all right, followed by Mark Johnston and Tanya Crocker. Thank you, Carla.
I'm a stay-at-home mom. I've got 3-year-old twins, so if you see a crazy lady pushing a double stroller all over Skyway, that's probably me. There is virtually no place I can go with my girls to sit down. There's no sit-down places. There's Angel City Barbecue, which is awesome, but it's like this big. The bar, I don't think they're going to let my kids in the bar. There are numbers of families with young kids. The moms would love to get together. Where would we do that? That's walking distance. I think we're all supportive of Nevzat. We love his style and his coffee and everything about him. But look at all the other businesses. I'm a pedestrian. I walk a lot. And the way Skyway is laid out, and I know we can't change that right away, but every one of them has parking in the front. That is one of the biggest problems with pedestrian-friendly areas, is the cars coming right up into the front, and that's way more of a danger, pedestrian-wise, than a drive-through. And I feel like it's just so frustrating to me to have us be looked at as second-class citizens. And I know I love my neighborhood, but we get the short end of the stick on a lot of things. And I just feel like it's been the variance, as some other person said, or a couple people said, the variance has been granted. I don't understand why it can't be moved across the street. And it's just frustrating as heck to me to have this many people speak out, and the government's like, sorry, it just takes 5 years to do anything, so we're just gonna do that because that's all we can do. We need to be behind this.
Thank you very much. Mark Johnston, Sonia Crawford, Sonia Hall, and Iris Harden.
We can't hear you when you were clapping.
Oh. Yeah. Mark Johnston, Tanya Crocker, Sonia Hawes, and Iris Harden.
First, Councilmember Gossett, I think I challenge your assertion that community residents here were asking for tighter zoning restrictions on pot stores. The fact is that pot stores are now illegal in the areas of unincorporated King County where 80% of its residents live. That is the zoning regulation that needs to be loosened in order to prevent proliferation in the areas. It would have been necessary to loosen it to prevent the proliferation, but it's the only way to allow the stores that now exist legally to have a place to move to. So please take that back with you, I hope. You know, it is ironic that there are 5 pot stores and not one sit-down coffee shop in Skyway. I'll echo all of the comments about the community that a sit-down place can build. And we really need that in Skyway. In 20 years, there hasn't been significant commercial development in Skyway during the term of the Skyway Community Plan. That really calls into question whether the plan is the right plan for our community. It is frustrating for community members to be part of a local government that, even when asked about equity, justice, and civil rights, deflects that and won't talk about those issues, when this is one of the only white minority communities in unincorporated King County.
Thank you. Sonia Crawford. Tanya Crawford, Sonia Haas, Iris Hardman.
Hi, I'm your neighbor too, and I think that we depend on you guys doing your job, and I think the sidewalk looks good, and I should be up here pulling the dandelions out myself, actually. And I appreciate all the work that you're doing, but y'all are the ones that know the workarounds. You guys are the ones with the information, and I think if you all wanted to do it, you'd find a way to get this done and get it done quickly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You guys talking about bringing back the economy to Skyway, and you're restricting businesses. That's unacceptable. Nobody wants to build a business in Skyway. Nevzot's trying to expand his. He's the only thing still left in Skyway. It's the only reason why I come back.
Thank you.
Can I say one more? What I forgot to say is that the improvement that the change he's making is actually an improvement to pedestrians. So, I mean, that doesn't make sense at all.
Sonia Haas, Iris Hardin, Adrian Rush, and Hamdi Abdullah.
Single grande vanilla ice mocha. And he's got it ready for me.
Exactly.
What more can you ask for? But I'm here in support of Nevzat and everything else that happens great in this community. Skyway Cinema is amazing. Grocery outlet. There's so many. The Skyway Library. When I first moved to the area, I live in Rainier Beach. I'm right by Emerson, and I used to go down to Rainier Beach. I would come up here for coffee, and that was it. And now I'm coming up here for so many other things. You need to continue to grow on that. Take a look at Columbia City. It is coming this way. Let's be ahead of it. Let's stop talking about our past. Look at our future, and beat it to it, and make it the people who are already invested in the area that have priority rather than the corporations that are coming, because it's happening.
Thank you. Adrian Rush, Hamdi Abdullah.
Thank you very much. I am standing here to support a coffee shop. I don't understand a community that is looking for revival and life and peace and hope that it cannot expedite these simple steps to make that a reality. I think Gary Gossett, you are not challenged, but you are given a job that you need to be doing it with due diligence. This is your homework. This is your task. And what we are waiting is a very reasonable time, because I am sure this is going to happen. For real. It's going to happen because you call us to hear our voice. We come to let you know what we want. The reason why we elected you and the other officials is to do what we ask you. And I am definitely sure that you are a good student and you do what is asked to you. Yeah. Because that's your job. So there's no them and the council. There is us and what we want together, including you. So I'm very happy to hear that this is the beginning of the revival of Skyway. This is where the life starts, where the beast starts, where all our families and children, and the women who are coming from the neighborhood to have read their book and enjoy and have their coffee will come. So nowhere, there is nowhere that this is not going to happen. We have to also color the politicians. You have done so much. And this is your legacy to revive the city. Thank you.
In Seattle, to have a coffee shop at your legacy. So I started off by saying that we were really interested in sharing and learning from you tonight, and I think it's an understatement to say that we've heard from you tonight. If you go back and you think about, we said it this way, 3-4 years ago, I was down here for one of these meetings. And one of the things that people were talking about was the fact that the 1994 plan wasn't working, that we weren't seeing the kind of development that had been anticipated by making that plan at that time. And we were struggling because we didn't know how to do a replan. It was mentioned earlier that we have a friend in Tim Eyman who has put limits on our revenue for these kinds of purposes that causes us to take about $50 to $100 million of services out of King County every 2 years. We're planning on doing that again next year. One of the reasons that we were interested in the development is because currently about 12.5% to 13% of the population of King County lives in unincorporated King County. Do you know how much the sales tax base we have in unincorporated King County? 3%. We are trying to provide the kinds of services for municipal services that cities do with far less in terms of tax base. And if we can find ways to be able to develop Skyway, we can start to generate revenue to be able to have more police protection, to be able to put sidewalks in, to fix roads, to do all of those kinds of things. So it's in our interest to do it. And that's why we found a way to be able to do this plan. And we unfortunately are stuck with the kinds of laws that we have around zoning. Zoning laws are slow to change, and they're slow to change for a reason. We might want to do it really quickly, but somebody else might not. And that somebody else has to have a chance to be able to be involved. And so we're going through the process. There's 2 processes we can go through. One is for the variance. The other one is for the plan. Neither of them are quick. But we are well into the plan update. And my understanding is that we will be able to be back here in August with plans for you to be able to react to
can modify and have enacted, we hope by the end of the year. Larry will help us with that. And with that, if it is the will of the process and the county council, we can actually make the zoning do what you would like to have it do. I can't promise it will do what you would like to have it to do, because there's a lot of other people involved. That's one of the problems that we have in these kinds of processes, is that there's lots of people and lots of opinions, and that's part of the reason that it takes so long. But I want you to know that we've heard you tonight, and that we're going to redouble our efforts to get this plan done. We're going to speed it up so that it is available to you sooner, even if it's maybe a little bit more rough around the edges when we come back and show you. So you'll see it early and you'll be able to make more adjustments to it. So again, my thanks to you for coming out, for letting us go on for a little while and talk about what we're doing, but mostly for you having the stick-to-itiveness to be able to tell us what you think. And I think the council member wants to talk as well, but thank you very much for me and for my boss, Dow Constantine. We really appreciate your time.
Like the other government leaders I have heard you, I have no problem making a commitment to working closely with you all as quickly as possible to do the variance review and the other adjustments to the plan and giving priority to NASDAQ being able to do if everything works out. Like the community here agrees that this is an adjustment that you want to make and do some of the other things that people feel are necessary to do out here as quickly as we can. We must go through the process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. We will be back in touch. There'll be more. Thank you very much. Hello? FYI, we have to be out of the building by 9:15, so thank you for coming.